is Jessica Sacheret with Higher Ed Matters, and today is a super exciting day. We are actually here on location at the theater school. I'm walking through the hallways right now. It's quiet. There aren't classes in session just yet, but we had the opportunity while we were here on campus to interview Kenna, who has helped to take the theater school's TikTok account from 0 to over 2,000 followers. And they've had such great success in going viral with some of their TikTok content. And I'm really excited to share some of their ideas and thoughts with other colleges and universities that are looking to start their own TikTok account. So please enjoy.
Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Higher Ed Matters. It's our podcast where we talk about all things related to marketing for higher education. And today I have with me Kenna. Kenna, can you introduce yourself? Tell me a little about what you do for the theater school at DePaul University.
Yes, so I'm Kenna. I use she, they pronouns. I am a second-year BFA theater management major. So in the theater school, we kind of study like the business aspects of theater and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. And I am one of the student workers on the theater school admissions team.
Awesome. And the main reason I wanted to talk to you today is that in our podcast episodes where we talk about all kinds of things marketing, one of the most popular topics that higher ed marketers want to know more about is TikTok. And you have been very instrumental in the theater school going from 0 to 2,000 something followers in like less than a year, I believe, right? I think Jamie was just looking up and seeing that your first post was in October of last fall. Yeah. And you have some posts that have gotten over 200,000 views. Is that right? Like you have definitely broken the viral ceiling, right?
Our TikTok with the most views has broken 1 million.
Oh, awesome.
So that's pretty wild. But we've had a couple break 100,000 views, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that one that hit 1 million. That was like a real shocker.
That's it. So, you know, I know you've been there since the beginning. I know that you even appear in several of the TikToks. So like when I saw you, I was like, oh, that's so great to be able to meet you in person. And I'm sure you get it from like prospective students too, because they get to see your face on TikTok. Tell me about how it got started and like just how you rolled forward. Like what was the beginning?
Okay, yes. So Tracy actually it was really Tracy's idea to start the TikTok. And she kind of was like, you know, I just think it would be so fun if we had a TikTok, and like what a great way to reach, you know, prospective students and this and that. But I don't know anything about TikTok and I need somebody to, you know, kind of join on this project. And so like myself and a couple of the other student workers were like, oh my God, we love TikTok. Like we'll do it. Like, yeah.
No brainer.
Yeah, exactly. So we were like, we'll hop on and kind of take the charge on this project. And at the beginning there, you know, there's an element of like trial and error, figuring out like what works, what kind of messages we want to put on the TikTok, what kind of like content people on the app are actually looking for.
Right.
Like there was a lot of trial and error and kind of figuring out what worked. But we've kind of found now that like a combination of like informative videos and just like funny content is kind of what's like been working really well for us, because the funny content attracts more followers and attracts more viewers. And then they are like, oh my gosh, this TikTok's so funny. Who posted this? They click on the account and then they see all of our actual information also on the page.
Right.
So we've kind of found that doing like a best of both worlds kind of situation is what worked best for us.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that viral, the 1 million view TikTok.
Okay, yes. So, so Joe Curie of Stranger Things is an acting alum of the theater school.
Right.
I don't know what year he graduated, but he did graduate from here. And so so in the theater school building, on every floor, we have photos from past productions, like dating back like years and years and years ago on like every single floor of the building. And it's super fun and cool. And there is one of a show that Joe was in. And so I took a little video clip of of his picture on the wall. And I figured like, oh my gosh, Stranger Things season 4 just came out. Yeah. Like, let me, you know, give a little shout out to an acting alum. And it just like blew up. Like I was so floored because I was like, this TikTok literally took me 60 seconds to make. I was like, are you kidding me? Like I've spent so long doing other TikToks
ones?
that get like maybe like 200 views, and this one broke 1 million. It took me 4 seconds. I was like, awesome.
That is amazing. Talk about ROI, right? That, you know? Like,
right.
Investment in your time.
Yeah.
For that one.
Yeah, for sure. But that it was kind of a shocker. Like I didn't think that one was gonna go too viral. I thought it was just gonna be like a fun little, you know, nod, like, oh, current events, Stranger Things, pop culture news, you know?
Right.
And it ended up just like super duper blowing up, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that kind of like we were able to extrapolate from with the TikTok. That was like, oh, cool. So like capitalizing on, like, this is kind of a no-brainer when I say it out loud, but capitalizing on like current trends and like what's happening in the theater and film and entertainment world around us. Like how can we bridge the gap between what is actually happening in the industry and like the work we're doing at our school, or like our people, our students, our faculty, all that good stuff. Yeah. So it was kind of like a really like cool learning opportunity where we were able to kind of extrapolate from that and really kind of, you know, forge forward in like, how are we going to use what we learned from this one blowing up to keep making content that is successful.
New content in that same kind of realm. In that one viral post, also, didn't it gain you quickly more followers?
Yes, and that's the crazy part about TikTok is like you have one video blow up and then you're gaining like hundreds of followers within the hour.
Right.
Like things move so fast on that app that it's unlike any other social media app I have ever been on. Because like I have a personal TikTok as well. And these trends, like these patterns are exactly the same. Where like you have a TikTok go viral and you gain just like an insane amount of followers within like the hour you posted it.
Right.
So, and the trend cycles are like constantly changing. Like,
right.
I mean, like every couple of days there's a new one out. So you really are like having to stay on top of things.
Right.
And I think we just kind of got really lucky, like right place, right time kind of situation. And
for sure,
the algorithm took it and ran. So.
How do you stay on top of the trends though? Like what, for students that are in the same, you know, kind of role that you are in, or staff that are, you know, helping with developing a TikTok account that has, you know, fun, organic stuff. How do you stay on top of that? What do you use? Are you just on TikTok?
Yes. Yeah, unfortunately.
Like, it's real simple?
Unfortunately, yes. I wish I could say that there was some strategy to it, but it's like, nope, I just spend a lot of time sitting on my couch on TikTok, like, unfortunately. But that it, like, you know, it's also a teamwork kind of thing where it's like, I'm not the only person who's making content. I'm not the only person who's helping with the TikTok.
Right.
I often get approached by people who are like, can I have this awesome idea for a TikTok? Can you make it for me? Can you edit it for me? Can you film it for me? Or something like that, where it's like, you know, I'm only one person. I can only come up with so many ideas myself.
Sure.
That it's like, it seriously does take a village to kind of make that, like, to keep putting out an appropriate amount of content. But that's also the more fun part about it, right? Because it's like, I have my ideas, which are, you know, great and fun and whatever, but it's like, it's not just me.
Yeah.
Like, it's a collaborative thing, and it's a collaborative social media platform, which is really fun.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, when you take into account that's like, I'm not the only person in this building, in the admission staff, who also spends a lot of time on TikTok. Like, all of us are watching it, and we all are seeing different sides of the app. We're all seeing different types of trends. And so when we all kind of pool our resources and pool our ideas together, we are able to make like a, you know, rather prolific amount of content.
Right.
Yeah.
And logistically speaking, what does your planning process look like? Do you have kind of like like meetings? How do you kind of make a plan?
Okay, yeah. So after the one TikTok blew up and, you know, we started to kind of think like, okay, maybe we should have like a meeting of the minds and like, this is awesome and great. Right. And it seems, because for a while we were kind of just like flying blind, trying to, you know, get our feet on the ground and gain a follower base that was large enough to like have our TikToks regularly getting attention.
Right.
And so once we finally like achieved that, then we were all kind of like, okay, we should have like, you know, sit down, some kind of have a little kiki about the TikTok. And so we as the admissions staff are also working with the folks in the theater school marketing department and with the other wonderful staff members who run the other social media accounts. And we had a really awesome meeting. We wanted to kind of figure out the best way to like have a common theme amongst
Right.
all the social media accounts. Like,
Sure.
right, like what are we as a school trying to say online?
Right.
What are we trying to say to our prospective students? What are we trying to say to our current students? What are we trying to say to our alums? And so we had a big conversation about like making sure that all of those populations of students feel like they are getting content that speaks to them, that resonates with them, and that represents them. So that's kind of where we're hoping to take all of our social media accounts in the future, but especially the TikTok. And so what we kind of did was we came up with a huge list of ideas to like make some TikToks about, which has
Right.
been really helpful because then we can kind of divide and conquer.
Yeah.
But for a while, we just kind of were like sporadically making and posting just
Right.
until we got our feet on the ground. But now that we're like a pretty established account, we can kind of have a little bit more structure in the way that we post.
Yeah, I feel like you do, cover a lot of different areas and even types of, I guess, audiences. The current students, the prospective students, and the alumni, all in your TikTok. I feel like there's relevant content for everyone. One of my favorites, which I think was one before Joe Keery and Stranger Things, there was one that we were all excited about on our team, which was, I believe, like stage management, or there was one about like the actor forgetting their line.
Oh
that
my gosh,
one. Yeah,
yes.
tell me about making that one.
So I actually had no part in making that one.
Okay.
One of our other student workers who just graduated, the lovely Allie, she made that TikTok. She was one of the actors.
Yeah.
And I think that like from talking to her about it, I think that she really just like was like, this is a really funny idea. And that's the fun part about TikTok is like when you get other people to make them with you, it's so fun.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's so silly and fun and goofy. You have a good time. And that was our first TikTok that actually like blew up.
Right.
And it was awesome because we were able to kind of like figure out like, okay, what about this TikTok made it go big? Like what can we, do in the future to keep
Right.
having TikToks go big? And we kind of realized that like, oh, not only are we reaching an audience of our people and our theater community, but we're reaching the theater community at large.
Totally.
And so it was a really cool way to kind of like realize that we could do generalized theater content. And we've had a lot of success with that too. Allie and I made a TTS majors as Nick Miller quotes
Right.
from New Girl. And we also had a lot of success with that one.
Yeah.
Because in a similar vein, we were just kind of reaching the theater community broadly as opposed to like just us specifically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's also one of my favorite TikToks.
Yeah.
It's like so real.
And it's so funny because I loved it because being not whatsoever associated with the theater world, right? And not getting it. I had to watch it like 9 times to like get it and get why it's funny, right? But that's why I loved it so much because I could tell by the likes, I could tell by all the comments of how relatable the content was to the theater world. And I was like, that's so perfect for TikTok because there is an inside joke there, within the content where the, people that don't know theater don't get it. And that's part of the fun.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
It's really fun to kind of reach the broader artistic community in that way. And again, in a similar vein, like younger theater people, people in middle or high school might see this TikTok, be like, that's pretty funny. And be like, whoa, that room looks cool. Or I wonder what show they're working on. And then they could click on our account and then, they might be a prospective applicant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so exciting. Is there any other favorite TikToks that you've done for the theater school
Ooh.
that we haven't mentioned?
Okay, so one of my favorite ones is one that I made while I was actually on crew for one of our main stage shows here.
Sure.
I was like an usher. I was on the front of house crew. And this is another like, theater behind the scenes inside joke kind of one. And it was me and our house manager who's like, technically my boss, but she's also another student. And so we made a TikTok that the concept was like house management and stage management, like spilling the tea over the walkie-talkies during the show. And so it was fun because it was like me and my house manager. And I was like, who do we know that's in the theater right now in the booth? And I was like, oh my God, a good friend of mine is the production assistant. And so like during the show, during the actual run of the play, I'm texting him and I'm like, hey, do you want to be in a TikTok? I'm like, would you and the stage manager want to be in a TikTok like the second the show ends? And he was like, oh my God, yes. And so like at the end of the show, we like run back into the booth and we're like, okay, here's what we need you to do. And so like we were able to do the first half of the TikTok and then they were able to do the second half. And I love that TikTok because it's really funny, very real. And it was also fun because it allows me, like, I had never met the stage manager before. So I got to go and, like, meet new people.
Right.
And I, like, as much as I love making TikToks, what I love more is when people come to me and are like, I have this great idea for a TikTok. Can you film it for me? And I'm like, yes. Because, like, you know, like, I like making them myself, but I love to be able to, like, feature as many other students as I can.
Yeah.
Which, you know, get as many of our people on the account as possible.
Absolutely. Do you work with faculty and staff then as well? Have you had any opportunities to work with folks not students? Basically?
Some, not as much as we would like, but we do have plans to. That big list of TikToks I mentioned earlier, there are some little faculty moments on there.
Yeah.
But it's the hard part about that is it is kind of hard sometimes to pin down faculty members because all the faculty members here at TTS are also working professionals.
Right.
So sometimes it is hard to pin them down. And you know, to be like, you want to be in a TikTok? Like sometimes they like,
you busy today?
Yeah, right. So it's like kind of hard to pin them down sometimes. But it's definitely something that like in those meetings we have talked a lot about. That's like we should actually put a spotlight on our faculty way more than we have been.
Sure. Well, I mean, the theater school in general is just visually it's such a, you know, a cool space.
Yes.
You have obviously like just not your typical classroom types of environments, you know, so it just kind of lends itself to like really visual content, you know, generally speaking. But do you use the TikToks or the video content anywhere else in marketing, like on other platforms? Are you using it on like Instagram Reels or do you also work in that space?
So that's actually part of the marketing department's role in the TikTok. So it's kind of like whatever they see as content that we post that would be like relevant to put on the Instagram because they're kind of for different purposes, right? So the TikTok is through the admissions office. It's not through the marketing department. So the intention is like recruitment. The intention is reaching prospective students as like less so than reaching current students. Whereas the Instagram and the Facebook are more for current students and alum.
Okay.
So the marketing office will pick and choose whatever TikToks they feel like, you know, makes sense for them to put on their Instagram. So it's like less so about recruitment and stuff like that. And so I know like one that they used was one that I made like early on in the start of the account, which was a tour of the building.
Sure.
And they really liked that TikTok because it allowed a lot of alumni who hadn't seen the building before, the new building, to kind of get a feel for it and see what their school looks like now. Yeah. So they put that one on the Instagram.
Okay.
So that one is actually out of our hands.
Sure.
But now that we're working with the marketing office, like in a, you know, more explicit and collaborative way, we're hoping that there will be more cross-posting in like both regards. Whereas like there can be content from the Instagram, like show photos and stuff that we can start putting on the TikTok. Yeah. And then vice versa.
Yeah. But I think it's actually really a good thing that at least from kind of the growth of an organic TikTok account, that's what you were kind of hyper focused on. We're just doing this. We're looking at it from the, you know, perspective of recruitment, enrollment, and supporting all of that, the work that you do as the other work that you do as a student worker, right? Like working with prospective students. Yeah. Because it allowed you to, you know, really get that plan together and start to do that kind of testing of content. What's working? What's, you know, what goes viral? And then where do we fill the holes so that once somebody does hit our page, there is all of that information that we would want to give a prospective student and not just all of the, you know, obviously it's all fun with some respect, but you know, there's real, you know, information available also on the TikTok account. Yeah. As I mentioned before, you know, the TikTok is still a somewhat like mysterious platform to, you know, my generation and the people that are, you know, in the roles of, you know, working with marketing for the purpose of enrollment and recruitment. And certainly, you know, our our advice would be to work with folks that are much more, familiar with the platforms and are doing it on their own day in and day out. But what would be your advice if it was a student team in terms of like, we know we need to do this. We know this is a platform we need to be on. What do we do first?
I would tell people to be making the content that like brings them joy, right? Like if you're not having fun making the content, like probably something is not right. Like every single TikTok that we make, like in the staff, like is so fun.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I've ever made a TikTok where I was like, that was a miserable experience and that was horrible. Like no, it's like a 10-second video.
Right.
Like it takes maybe cumulatively 10 minutes to film.
Sure.
There's one of the TikToks that is on the account is one that somebody else in the admissions staff like approached me and was like, we have this great idea for TikTok. And it was, he was on the set props crew for one of our main stage shows. And he was like, set props crew has an amazing TikTok idea and we need you to come record it. And I was like, deal, done, I'll be there. And I like ran down. It was so fun because it was a TikTok that involved like running around backstage and we had to do like a million takes. And they were like, oh my God, house opens in 5 minutes, like go. And so it was like so fun. So, and that TikTok was very successful.
Yeah.
So I think that like, it's easy to tell when people are like on this app making content because they feel an obligation to make content versus people who are making content because they are having fun with it.
Yeah.
And if you like, which feels a little bit corny to say.
No, I think it makes total sense. I think that one of the things, and I work with plenty of people on our staff that are much younger than I am and much more familiar with the TikTok platform and even just the types of content that that is interesting to younger people, right?
Yeah.
And for me, like, more maybe part of like MySpace generation is like where like that's the first social media that I was involved in, and also just marketing and in terms of like marketing video being polished and vetted and all of these like so much more like high production value and really like making sure that the audience and the point and all that kind of stuff is kind of locked in, where younger generation, TikTok, Instagram feels like stop thinking so much about it. Like, don't be overthinking the content. Just do it. Just get it out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think something that is wonderful about TikTok is, if we're trying to reach prospective students, if we're trying to reach people that are, like 16, 17, 18, like we need to be going to where they are rather than saying like, no, you need to have a Facebook, even though no one in your peer group uses Facebook, like to get information on colleges. Like that makes zero sense. Like I would hope that it's, significant, like a signifier of a larger cultural shift of like towards meeting people where they're at, especially in the admissions process. Like our goal is, to show you that like, hey, if this is a fit for you, we would love to have you. And if it's not, we want you to find somewhere that is a fit for you, rather than just being like, no. It's not like a mad grab to try and get as many people to apply as possible. It's like, if it's not going to be a fit for you, like go somewhere that is going to be a fit for you. Like we want the best for you in the same way you want the best for yourself. And I think that the TikTok is a great way to kind of like directly interact with those students,
right?
As opposed to being like, sending out email blasts that they probably won't ever see,
right? Or
putting a lot of effort into these posts on Facebook that again they probably won't see.
Yeah,
like we are meeting them where they actually are, and I think I would hope that that's meaningful to those students.
Absolutely.
And that resonates with them
for sure. So, do you think of yourself as a theater school influencer?
Oh my God. Oh my God, that's amazing. No, I never.
I think
don't
you
know.
Are. I've been influenced.
Thank you. I'm flattered. My friends like to joke that I'm an influencer.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, Kenna's in her influencer era. Like, oh my God, she's like TikTok famous. And I'm like, yo, my friends actually lovingly refer to it as Kenna Talk.
Oh, nice.
Like the combination of my personal TikToks with like the admissions TikToks, they've lovingly dubbed it Kenna Talk, where you might have like craft talk or like comic talk or like, movie talk, something like that.
Yes, you have your own talk.
I have Kenna Talk. Yeah.
I think you're an influencer.
Thank you. Add that to the resume.
Right. Do you get like, I mean, obviously, like I said, like I saw you for the first time. I've seen you on TikTok, and like, be like, oh my gosh, that's Kenna. So, Do you get recognized?
So it's actually more so by current students.
Yeah.
Like I've had that happen a lot. I've had some faculty members too.
Yeah.
I one time got recognized in an Insomnia Cookies. Okay. I was in my the Insomnia Cookies closest to campus, and I was waiting for my cookies, and somebody comes up to me and is like, I don't want to be weird, but like, are you a theater school student? And I was like, yes. And this is maybe like in November. So I was like, I've been here for like 3 months. Oh my God. And somebody was like, are you a theater school student? And I was like, yes. And they were like, oh my gosh, I saw you on the TikTok and I love your TikTok. So I was like, oh my gosh, thank you.
Nice.
So it was like so wonderful. So I do get recognized every now and then, or like I'll give tours and stuff and I'll mention the TikTok and they're like, that's where you look familiar. So I get that a lot.
Oh my gosh, I bet. Well, Kenna, thank you so much for being part of the podcast today. It's been a pleasure to talk with you and meet you,
Oh my gosh.
obviously. So
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You bet.